We've got stacked ranking at Activision Blizzard, Minecraft Legends, Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Forspoken, and Fox News is upset that your Xbox is going woke.
Nick here, and when you see some hungry dogs next to insects fighting with boating tools, remember, they call that a beetle paddle battle with some poodles eating noodles.
Hi, I'm Josh, and I hate Ted Cruz.
My name is Andy. Fuck you, Ted Cruz. This is Video Game Tango.
Hey!
Oh.
Look, it's
Noises.
a podcast.
I'm sorry.
Don't
about
look,
that.
listen.
Or look. That's
Or
fine,
look,
too.
Yeah, you can do either with us.
Just don't look at Nick.
Don't look at me.
Don't look
Ignore me.
Don't look at Nick.
Well, I mean,
I looked at myself.
Oh, no. He's Medusa himself.
Welcome back.
We've got some more video game-related news.
Really?
We sure do.
we do. We do that from time to time.
Yeah,
We
you
do
know,
that from time to
every week-ish.
You know, I guess I'm going to go ahead and lead off here if everyone's okay with that.
Do it.
So today, the Communication Workers of America has dropped their request for a union vote at the, ironically, in this case, named Proletariat Games. That's fun. There's a little humor there. The CW,
A tiny little bit.
just a little bit. The CWA has accused the CEO Seth Sivak. He kind of sounds like a Marvel villain, just based on the alliteration in the name alone. I don't really know a lot about him. But he said the spokesperson for the CWA said that he has made it essentially impossible for a free and fair union vote to occur. With responding to the union push with confrontational tactics and demoralizing tactics as well. So Dustin Yost is a software engineer there. He was also one of the pushers for the union. He also claimed that the process has to be withdrawn. It's taken its toll. An overwhelming majority of coworkers seemed in favor of the vote, supporting what the CWA is saying about Sivak. Now, of course, in fairness, a spokesperson for Proletariat says that the withdrawal of the request of the vote is overwhelming support for the workers who didn't want to unionize. So he's kind of directly contradicting what Yost is saying, that overwhelming majority of coworkers were interested in unionizing. This spokesperson is kind of claiming the opposite. He is of course also saying that the CWA is outright lying, that Sivak stood in the way of a free and clear vote. Now, Yost went on to compare and contrast what happened here at Proletariat versus the ZeniMax unionization vote. How Microsoft promised to stay neutral, and they did. Activision Blizzard has fought every unionization step along the way here. They lost at Ravensloft.
Ravensoft.
Oop, D&D on the mind. Ravensloft. So they lost at Ravenssoft, and then they lost at one of the East Coast ones, Activision Blizzard, Maryland, something, I think, over there. So they lost 2 unionization battles. So they've fought it hard along the way here, every step of the way. I mean, which really leads into more problems at Activision Blizzard. So not only are they leaning on unionization votes, they have a fun little ranking system for their employees.
That sounds ethical.
Yeah, right.
This really leans into why they fight this shit so hard. Because imagine a system where everyone's working, everything's going fine, but you still, as a manager, need to decide that 5% of your people are underperforming. And this is going to hurt their wages. This is going to hurt their chance for a promotion. It's going to hurt their chance for future developments, being on new teams, better teams, right? And it's also this stacked ranking system you have to have 5%. Like in this case, I mean, it's a random, like generally it's a number of some sort. In this case, it's 5% of the workforce needs to be deemed underdeveloping, underperforming.
They always want to be culling the chaff from the wheat. Right?
And what that does is it breeds an entirely toxic work environment, because instead of having employees supporting each other and helping out each other, you have employees competing directly with each other, looking to sabotage each other's projects. It nullifies creativity because Jesus Christ, God forbid your idea doesn't pan out and you underdevelop, and then you're, and then recently, if you're in this underdevelopment thing, not only do you got to worry, Microsoft just laid off 10,000 people. That's what was it, 5% of their workforce? Good Lord, I'd hate to be in the bottom 5% in this bell curve that they have going here.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what they're judging these employees on. It doesn't matter if you're performing well, you could just be deemed underdeveloping. Now, a few managers, of course, said this is like a dystopian fucking wasteland. No, we're not going to do this. And a lot of them have managed to avoid it for a few years. Now, one guy, Andy go ahead and lead in with that guy, would you? I can't remember his name. Brian.
So Brian Birmingham, he's a longtime developer at Blizzard. He joined the company in 2006, receiving developer credits on every game from Hearthstone to Warcraft 3 Reforged and every World of Warcraft expansion to date. Most recently helping to launch World of Warcraft Classic and serving as technical lead for the ongoing game. In a lengthy Twitter thread explaining his position as one of the Classic leads, he detailed his role as a people manager with a responsibility to foster a good working environment among his team, something which his email opined was not being fulfilled by a stack ranking system which pits employees against one another. So Brian Birmingham has been on most projects at Activision Blizzard since 2006, and also has a relatively good view from where he was in his position to tell us about the ongoing issues at Activision Blizzard. So as a lead, he was one of the people that was forced to perform employee reviews in this ranked system. He has declined to do so in an email to his superiors. Bloomberg is reporting. And by doing such, has been put on leave. Since then, he's called an HR manager to talk about his conditions on returning, which is getting rid of the rank system. He was told basically, no, that's going to continue, and you are now terminated. So,
of course.
Stacked ranking, just to get a good description of it, is also referred to as a vitality curve. It's a management practice that has managers evaluate employees based on a curve against one another. While Birmingham has reportedly been able to circumvent the practice in previous years, because this practice was actually instituted in 2020, an internal email he wrote to staff obtained by Bloomberg suggests he has been forced by executives to lower his grading of some employees to meet a quota meant to help manifest the vitality curve. When team leads ask why we had to do this, World of Warcraft directors explained that while they did not agree, the reasons given by executive leadership were that it was important to squeeze the bottom-most performers as a way to make sure everybody continues to grow. So, yeah,
that's just
for
bullshit.
Sure.
Wow.
So some of the Bloomberg report goes into full detail here, but some parts of it are, he says that if the policy can be reversed, perhaps Activision Blizzard can still be saved. And if so, he would love to continue working there. If this policy cannot be reversed, then the Blizzard Entertainment I want to work for doesn't exist anymore, and I'll have to find somewhere else to work. He's since then been let go by HR. So I've got a string of his tweets that kind of goes into detail. We won't go too long on the subject, but that details very interestingly, because it's an insider baseball on how the company has changed in recent years. So he wasn't intending to make this public, but apparently it's in the news already. So at least I'd like to set the record straight. I am no longer an employee at Activision Blizzard Entertainment, though I would return if allowed to, so that I could fight the stack ranking policy from inside. He says, I'm told the 4-stack ranking policy is a directive that came from the ABK level, above Mike Ibarra. Mike Ibarra being the head of Activision Blizzard right now, their games development. He says, I don't know for sure, but I suspect it's true. Everybody at Blizzard I've spoken to about this, including my direct supervisors, expressed disappointment about this policy. For those who don't know, ABK is the parent company formed when Activision Publishing expressed their interest in buying World of Warcraft from Vivendi in 2008. Blizzard's market value was enough that Activision Publishing could not buy it outright. Instead, they arranged to form a new company called Activision Blizzard, which would own Activision Publishing and Vivendi's games division, including Blizzard Entertainment. Vivendi had less than 50% of the shares Activision Blizzard at the time. In creating Activision Blizzard, they needed an executive, and Bobby Kotick,
fuck you, Bobby,
from Activision Publishing was selected as the new CEO of Activision Blizzard. Mike Morhaime, still president of Blizzard at the time, reported up to Kotick's staff at Activision Blizzard. Bobby and an investor group staged a hostile takeover, meaning that they bought up more than 50% of Activision Blizzard shares. He then goes to say there's no actual violence in a hostile takeover despite the name. He says he forgets which year this happened, but it resulted in greater control. Activision Blizzard then acquired King, becoming Activision Blizzard King, or ABK. ABK was then a parent company of 3 different companies, Activision Publishing, Blizzard Entertainment, and King. It says, if I recall correctly, the year we were asked to meet a specific quota of developing ratings was in the 2020 evaluations across the winter of 2020/2021.
So recent.
It says, again, if I recall correctly, this was also the first year they tried to unify the review/appraisal systems across all 3 child business units. Yeah. Activision Blizzard and King all had similar appraisal processes by this point, and ABK wanted to unify them into one. Presumably, this was the motivation for enforcing a 5% developing rating to make it match in all 3 studios. He says he's not defending it, he's only trying to explain. The tweets go on to then talk about his personal feelings about it, which we've already discussed, and to talk about the developing issues that ensued, where he was seeing that because of the stacked ranking system, employees have been switching teams where they think that they're going to flourish and show that they are the brightest of the bunch. Mm-hmm. They've been keeping ideas back in the chance that it brings down their rating, thus stifling creativity even further. And a lot of people are scared for their jobs right now, being that, as Josh mentioned earlier, you see all these mass layoffs taking place. They require reviews suddenly, and now if you're in the bottom 5%, not only do you lose things like options that you're guaranteed as an Activision Blizzard employee, but it also means you could very well lose your job. That seems like ripe for abuse. You know, you take your bottom 5% and you just lay them all off, right? Yeah. So...
And like the most egregious thing about this is this decision is coming from every motherfucker with a golden parachute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's praying for the Microsoft sale because they're going to be even fucking richer when they leave.
Yeah. I mean, this is all coming without saying it directly. This is all coming from Bobby Kotick.
Yeah.
This was already implemented at Activision Publishing as their stacked ranking system for review already. They're just pushing it on the rest of the developers.
It's clearly coming from the executive level.
Oh yeah, big time.
I mean,
yeah, if Mike Ibarra doesn't have a say in how they do their yearly reviews, then it's coming from top level executives. So,
just ridiculous.
Bit of a pickle we're in. It's really sad to see Brian Birmingham go, since he has been a pivotal part of the team for a long time, and it also seems like he was kind of acting as a shield for the team that he leads.
Yeah,
in being exposed to this kind of stuff.
It seems like there's a few of them who were really trying to avoid this. But
we had the early canaries leave back when this all started, and you have the people that try to protect the people under them that stick on. It never works.
Yeah,
but they do it anyways because they're good people,
right? And
then they eventually leave, and then there's no one left to defend everyone else.
Yes.
So I mean, this is really just one more nail in what we expected is the coffin of Blizzard as the company that we knew it.
Yeah, it's the snake Bobby Kotick eating itself.
Yeah. It does bring into focus why they fight why they're fighting so hard on every unionization attempt, though. God forbid the employees get a voice in it.
That affects their bottom line.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Well, more reason not to give them any money.
Speaking of Microsoft and Xbox,
Yeah.
let's add Bethesda in the mix. The Xbox Bethesda Developer Direct happened today,
Microsoft
the
own
25th.
Bethesda?
Yes, they sure do.
Okay.
So they showed some games. I talked about how lukewarm I was on the games that we knew that they were going to be showing. What they did show off was, a couple good games and then a couple, not so good. Minecraft Legends was the first on the list. It is an interesting take on Minecraft. So it's not Minecraft as we all know and love it. It's much more akin to Minecraft Dungeons. In partnership with Blackbird Interactive, and Mojang announced the upcoming action strategy game, Minecraft Legends, will be released on Tuesday, April 18th. Within the story-driven campaign, players explore a world filled with treasures and perils, reunite with familiar mobs, meet new mysterious characters, and strategize with allies in epic battles against the piglins. Minecraft Legends, this is where I think it's newsworthy, will also introduce a PvP mode, a first for Minecraft, where two teams of up to 4 players each work together to collect resources, build a base, and lay siege to their opposition's forces.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a neat thing to bring to Minecraft, right? Being that it's not Minecraft proper, it's a little, it's a side thing.
It's semi-surprising it's taken them this long
to capitalize on Minecraft in this way.
In the Minecraft universe.
Yeah.
The time to have released this game was 5 years ago.
Sure.
That doesn't mean it's going to be bad or not do well. I just think Minecraft had its heyday, and Microsoft at that point owned it. And it's a little surprising to see not only Minecraft Dungeons, but Legends take so long to release. But, maybe better late than never.
So the weird thing, we might have moved out of Minecraft years ago, but Minecraft is still...
It's still massive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's still healthy.
But it is past its prime, right? Fortnite has taken over, it's not going to suddenly regain the popularity it once had. So it's just a note. Something real quick. You said Blackbird. It reminded me. I looked it up because I thought I recognized it. They made a few other games. They're making the next Homeworld.
Yeah.
And they also made Hard Space Shipbreaker, one of my most favorite games, the game where you tear down ships in space. Very, very different than Minecraft Legends, but it's cool to see them picking up some probably good paying work. They deserve it.
Active player count for Minecraft right now is 971,500 people playing Minecraft. So
and that's probably just the official servers and whatnot.
Yeah, that is just the official servers. So that is only the what do they call it? Bedrock, not Bedrock, the other one.
There's Bedrock and
Bedrock
Java.
is a Java, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then what the other one is? But yeah, Minecraft, it peaked. I think it looks like 130 million players in 1 year back in 2020. So.
Did you say 130
million?
So I have in the last 30 days 173,508,871. December was similar. November was similar. They're all 170 million players plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So it seems to be doing all right. I don't have earlier stats, so I can't go back years, but 170 million players a month is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is only gonna bring people back who
it might very well
left because it's Minecraft is a phenomenon, right?
Yeah. And so approximately there are between 500,000 and 800,000 people playing Minecraft at any given time. Right now, it's way above that. It's nearly 1 million people playing Minecraft right now. And I think probably has a lot to do with the fact that Minecraft is making the news rounds again. So Minecraft Legends coming out probably reinvigorates the Minecraft player base a little bit and get people playing again.
Mobile is a big deal.
Oh yeah, big time.
It looks like the total annual revenue probably peaked around 2018, but the revenue through mobile has only gone up. 2018 was 88 million, then 111 million for 2019, then 142 million, then 161 million.
Wow.
So
That's pretty incredible.
Minecraft is not dead or dying by any means. I mean, I'm glad to see it. I hope the game's good. It looked a little, I don't want to say Clash of Clansy.
No,
but,
it certainly has that look.
Clash Royale.
Yeah.
You're leading a squad of, units to attack an enemy base. It's kind of RTS-y from what I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It looked like a little bit like an RTS.
Honestly, it looks kind of fun. Like I could see 4 of us getting together and doing a PvP mode with 4 other players. Adam getting in there and doing all the building, and then I like to explore and fight. And it seems like it caters to a couple different audiences because there is like still building mechanics that you have to do and upgrading your forts, stuff like that. So it looks neat.
I
solid.
played Minecraft Dungeons with a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old at a time, and like a 14-year-old, and the game would have struck gold because it's got Legends, right? But Minecraft, it's just slightly too hard. The kids, they lost interest because they kept dying, and I was a little surprised at how. I mean, not personally hard, but like, it was generally not easy. Yeah. It was very easy to get murked in that game. And that's very frustrating as a kid.
For sure.
You come from Minecraft where you die.
I don't know. That said, we were playing Diablo.
We played in a different era.
We did. That's true.
Dying was an assumption.
Yes. 100%. And we had things like permadeath or no more mans, no more.
You had to pay money if you died.
The game started with how many times you could fuck up. 3.
They knew you were going to fuck up that many times at least. Yeah.
I mean, if you we didn't have save games. We had splash screens that gave us codes to get back to the progression that we were at. Like Mega Man X, for example.
Shit written down on a Post-it.
Yep, 100%. So, Minecraft Legends, I was pleasantly surprised by. I expected something Minecraft. Seems solid. Next up on the list is Forza. None of us care terribly about that. I did watch the presentation. A lot of really cool things with their physics engine are going on. Like a lot more shrapnel from cars during crashes.
If you're into driving sims,
Forza's the one.
It's pushing the edge.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
Eventually we're just going to reach peak realism in sports and racing games. At that point, release another Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to work so much on like destruction of your cars.
Well, if the I think it's HBO show that they're making does maybe they will. They very well may happen.
I mean, if HBO's shown us anything with The Last of Us, they can conquer a video game and make it into good. It's
kind of easy when the story's written for you, but the story of Twisted Metal is Cocaine Clown wants to have a battle royale.
I want to see. Yeah, so The Last of Us Part 1 sales jumped 238% after the TV show launch.
Good.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Well, I'm chomping at the bit for March to get here because I can't wait to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So moving on, we had Elder Scrolls Online, Necrom, some expanded DLC content for those of you that like to play the Elder Scrolls Online.
We love you. We appreciate you. We know there's 19 of you.
I'm just never going to play a Bethesda MMO. That's not going to happen. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by Hi-Fi Rush. Looks interesting. Of course, you throw rhythm action game at me and I'm like, okay, I'm into it. Yeah. As long as the music's good, as long as the flow's good. I like that kind of thing. So Tango Gameworks announced the game today, showed the game for the first time today, and also launched the game today. So it is available on Xbox Game Pass.
Apparently they call that a shadow drop.
Well,
hell yeah. Cool.
The trademarked version is available now. It's one word. You'll see it up on my screen here. Available now through Xbox Game Pass.
Available now.
Well, if you put the 2 words together with no space, you absolutely can, and they did. So it's available now. One word.
Oh, when you make now all capitalized.
Yes. Yep. Now is all capitalized. You squish the 2 words together. It's a trademark.
Now I'm not going to give you money for your game. You're pulling bullshit.
It does have a pretty slick comic booky look to it.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by the graphics of it. It's real kind of cartoony and a very cel shaded style.
It's got that, was it Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah, it very much reminds me of Sunset Overdrive.
Kind of visual vibe. Yeah. But then the play looks a little bit Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it looks like a third-person
over the
floaty brawler.
But everything's to the beat.
Yeah,
right?
which is super cool. Now, something they did said I read further on the game is that they're not punishing players for not syncing with the beat. You can still button mash and do just fine, but they're awarding players that can do actions on the beat by giving you extra damage and power ups. So I think that's cool because
hell yeah, not looking to alienate anybody,
exactly. So you can play if your ear isn't the best and your rhythm isn't great. I know plenty of people like that, and you have a hard time with rhythm games. Then you should still be able to play it. It should still be totally accessible, but you might not get the combo score that you want without playing to the beat.
That was Hi-Fi
Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush.
A quick blurb on it is players take on the role of Chai, a free-spirited slacker with rockstar ambitions, whose music player is fused in his chest. Chai must defend himself through rhythmic combat featuring licensed tracks from iconic rock bands, including Nine Inch Nails, the Black Keys, and the help of a motley crew of allies. It says Motley Crue. That's not capitalized, so I don't know if they're in the game as well. Not sure, but funny little play on words there.
Should have called them Sony Starkman.
Well,
Totally. And then the last thing they showed in the showcase, which is one that you guys paid particular attention to, is Redfall. What did you guys think of Redfall?
So, if this is the game, excuse me, go ahead, Josh. I got a cough.
I thought it looked pretty cool. Kind of like a plussed up Left 4 Dead and Far Cry had a baby. It looked like you get some pretty cool magic as well as some bitchin' guns. So some abilities, some guns. You're shooting vampires. I mean, trade out zombies for vampires. They have different vampires with superpowers, and then there's just like regular scrub vampires running around. But it is where it differs greatly from Left 4 Dead, because you think 4 players going in, killing undead, Left 4 Dead, right? Oh, it is an open world, so I kind of like the idea that you're not just doing the mission, you're running around, you're saving people, you're rearming, you're resupplying. You got some shit to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of dig it. Plus, it's fucking a new 4-player co-op game. Come on, man.
For sure.
Like, I'm stoked about that. Definitely stoked about that.
So I haven't seen too much of it. My brother played the little weekend alpha or beta they had, and he had some moderately strong opinions as someone who has 1,000 hours in Left 4 Dead. It looks, from the little I had seen, different than the demo they had released, maybe a touch. This is Arcane Studios. I think Arcane Studios Austin in particular. Dishonored, Prey, the new Wolfenstein games, Deathloop, if you played them. If there's one thing they do is they make games that they want to make.
Yeah.
Their games always have definitely an Arcane feel to them, but very little tying them individually together. It's
and
not
they
like an
do
Ubisoft game.
They do make high quality games.
Yeah, their games are rarely subpar. Going back to even Dark Messiah Might and Magic, which had some unique, fun things in it.
Yeah.
The more I've seen of it now that I watched this 10-minute gameplay trailer, it seems almost less Left 4 Dead to me and more Deep Rock Galactic. So, yeah, you don't have swarms of bugs, but there is a hub world, a.k.a. the rig station on Deep Rock. They have different mission types that randomly rotate through, which is how Deep Rock works.
Yeah.
There is out-of-mission character progression, skills and whatnot, upgrades that you pick, a rogue LITE, roguelite motif, which Deep Rock has. 4 classes that can all do fine on their own, but cover each other's weaknesses if you play them together. Deep Rock Galactic. So the question is it going to be good enough to hold up to that? We already have a game of this vein that is cheap, does really well, has free season passes, only seems to sell more and more copies. So, it being Arcane Studio games, medium weight, heavyweight gamers that follow the gaming news are going to know what to expect. Not, like we said, none of their games have been bad. I highly think it's going to suck. But the gameplay we see here is very cinematic.
Yes.
The player in control of the character is doing very cinematic style gameplay for the effect of the camera. I don't know if this is an accurate representation of how the gameplay is, because it doesn't look anything like Left 4 Dead gameplay, where you're frantically shooting hordes and hordes of zombies and that kind of stuff. They seem to really be stressing the story elements in this video, as well as they said, I think multiple times,
The strategy.
what's that really fun, popular phrase? Environmental storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, environmental storytelling is great in a single player game, which you can play the single player,
Sure,
where you have a time to appreciate it. But in a game where the missions have set areas, a la multiplayer maps that you rotate through, how much benefit does that provide after the first 10 hours of gameplay?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how they've implemented all these things. If they're hand-placed storytelling elements, then you've seen it once. It's really cool, but then doesn't really do much else, right?
Yeah.
One thing Deep Rock has going for it is that they have a procedurally generated cave system, and they're constantly updating it.
Yeah.
Justin and I had a mission the other day, I think through a bug, maybe this is new. I had a cave literally twice the size of any cave I've ever seen before. And I've been playing the game like 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
It was just enormous. So, you know, maybe it doesn't play exactly like Deep Rock. I just see a lot of similarities there.
Sure.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
No. When
Deep Rock's one of my most favorite games.
Yeah.
So
No, when you saw the similarities in Deep Rock, as opposed to Left 4 Dead, I was looking at it like, this isn't Left 4 Dead, this is Far Cry. I see a lot of Far Cry in this, and that's my only trepidation. It looks
if
like
it wasn't
it differs.
mission centric.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't an open world game, so these are all missions that you go on from a hub world. At least from what I gathered from the video.
That's not what I gathered, because they call it open world during the presentation.
Oh, well, I must have missed that. But the whole time you're watching this, they're talking about, you know, there's different places you can go, but they have missions specifically in those areas that change. I don't know. If it is open world, then I take that back. It's
the way I took it was just like Far Cry, areas that you had already been to will have new missions pop up. And have you go back and redo, not necessarily old content. It could be a new mission based in an area that you've already been before. But Far Cry's done that. Assassin's Creed's done that, where, you know, you have a cursor that shows up on your map. There's something happening here. You get there. It's a church that you've already been to and taken care of on a mission. But this time the mission is a little bit different. You know, instead of killing cultists, you need to turn off their radio towers. Okay. And that's kind of what I got from the presentation here. And
I don't know how I missed that then, because this entire presentation is them talking about all the different mission types you do. So I didn't realize it was open world, because they don't show the players traveling to different locations. But I take that back then. I guess it doesn't have much in similarity to Deep Rock.
I mean, I either one of us could be wrong in that way. Like you might have caught on something that I didn't.
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
So both of our opinions may be valid in one way or another.
Yeah. I did see a Borderlands-esque loot system, which is kind of here nor there. You like it or you hate it. Finding loot they showed at least 3 or 4 times a weapon, and it shows the stats of the guns as you're picking them up,
and different attachments to the guns, and which I like. I think that's neat.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can keep guns, like you can find ammo.
Maybe
for them
better, if it is open world, maybe a better analogy, is unapt as it might be, is The Division. Something that has a heavily mission-based structure, but the world is technically open world.
Yeah.
Right. You get in little bouts in between areas, but like it's not actual real content. It's just basic bitch procedurally generated stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison.
Interest.
Yeah.
And there's actually like full missions to go on.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably a good comparison. Based on what I know of the game.
That's kind of what I gathered from my viewing of their gameplay video. But I think if everything is on point, I think it'd be a perfectly fun choice.
I mean, the keywords here is multiplayer.
Yes.
Co-op.
Yes. Right. It's having the multiplayer is its major selling point.
Yeah. So even if because dude, like as much as we give shit to like Ubisoft games like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, I enjoyed the shit out of a little bit of co-op in Far Cry 5. I mean, I really enjoyed that game.
Every game's better with multiplayer.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're spending like a good half hour just pushing each other out of a helicopter, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
You know, like okay, turn it harder so I can get in the blades. You know, that kind of thing is a lot of fun. So
if this game is at least competent, we are definitely all going to be playing it.
yes, for sure.
That's I'd like to support Arcane. As far as I know, there's no major problems with the company. Deathloop, I think, is one of the only games of theirs I haven't at least watched a full playthrough of, if not played. I played through the Dishonored, I played Dark Messiah. I've watched quite a bit of the Wolfenstein.
Yeah, really. And looks like
I really think you'd like Deathloop if you haven't played it yet. It's up your alley.
Yeah.
So yeah, assuming it's great, I'm really looking forward to this one. I love co-op games.
Yeah, me too. So I hopefully the gameplay loop is there and it's a solid. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah,
it looks good.
If I had to nitpick anything about the trailer from what I saw, there's not nearly enough enemies you're fighting once.
Yeah.
But that could just be the cinematic nature of them doing this trailer.
Yeah.
Like it's rare I saw more than like 3 or 4 enemies at a time in this 10-minute game.
For sure.
So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, if there are hordes of cultists or like vampires spawn or whatnot that you have to fight. But routinely you see 2 to 3, 4 players teaming up against like 2 vampires and they go down in 3-4 seconds.
Yeah.
So again, they're doing a very cinematic thing. If you've watched a lot of gameplay trailers, it shows you know what I'm talking about, where they try to make everything fluid and cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, even at the end here, we're watching it now on Twitch. The after gameplay video with some of the people that work at the company, the Graphic synergistic, business people speak. You can tell they make games that they want to play. Yeah. That's what they say. They make games they want to enjoy, and it's nice to have a AA company that I can trust isn't going to just put out shit to try to make money.
Yeah, it's not just the churn. It's not just churning out titles. They're doing stuff they like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing it regardless of what, my thoughts are on what I think it might be. Just because I think any real glaring issues that it has in being a Far Cry-like, I think is null and void when you get more than one person together. So I think it has a lot of potential to be a lot of fun.
Now, do we have system specs for this game yet?
I don't know.
Because that would be an interesting...
I mean, there should be some out. It's supposed to...
It's launching in May.
In May.
According to quick Google result, 64-bit processor, OS Windows 10, Intel Core i5 or AMD Ryzen 5, 16 gigs of RAM, graphics card, AMD RX 580 or GTX 1070 with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, 100 gigabytes of space.
Well, that's hefty.
SSD recommended. I'd have to make room.
Dude, these games are getting ridiculous. So real quick, I'm going to go into Forspoken. I played the demo today.
Showed us a little bit.
Yeah, I showed you guys a little bit. Mainly what I wanted to get from it was to get a graphics comparison between, there's 4 different graphics modes on PC. There is low, standard, high, and ultra high.
I was really hoping you were going to say plaid.
My computer is, I have a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM at 3600 megahertz. I have 2 NVMe SSDs, which the game is installed on, one on my game drive in particular. And I have an RTX 2080 Super with 12 gigs of VRAM.
It's a lot of letters and numbers.
It is a lot of letters and numbers. For those that know, you understand. It's I have a pretty solid system. Now, I do have a graphics card that's 2 generations out of date, but it was flagship card at the time. And I would expect that after only a few years, I'd still be able to play everything at a reasonable detail settings. Mm-hmm. It plays great on low. I'm getting, upwards of 60 FPS. It's totally playable, right? It's not where I would hope it would be as far as getting like higher frame rate, since I have a higher refresh rate monitor. I do have a competent graphics card. My system specs, they beat the minimum requirements for sure. I would have preferred to see much higher frames per second, being that the game looks like absolute fucking ass on low. It looks like hot garbage to the point where
you get a paper cut on the fucking trees when you run by them, like Mario 64 looking fucking trees at a distance.
Your spells are pixelated. Like it gets pretty bad. Looks like a muddy mess. Yeah. Now it's standard. Game looks pretty good. Not so good that you should lose 15 to 20 FPS at all times. My average FPS was around 40 in standard. So that's cinematic is what I'll call that. It is not necessarily where we want to be with 60 plus FPS. So cinematic is what I will call it. And it plays reasonably well until there's a lot of spell effects on the screen. Once there are a lot of enemies and spell effects on the screen, the game chugs.
It turns into the game engine that tried.
Turn it up to high. So you turn it up to high. And you don't realize that much of a graphics quality increase between standard and high, but you do definitely see your fucking tanking frames. You lose another good chunk of frames in the tune of like 20 to 30% frame rate, dropping you down to low 40s, mid 30s. And at ultra high, it's just a totally unplayable mess of a game. The moment that you get into combat, you're talking into the teens of frames. Yeah. It's pretty bad. Totally unplayable at that.
It's like it's like a flip book. It was like watching you play a flip book.
And keep in mind, I'm not playing at 4K. I'm playing at 1440p, which the resolution or the PC requirements for 4K, they're ultra steep, but I'm not playing at those. I'm playing at 1440p, and we're talking low teens at ultra high, where I am totally able to play with DLSS on Cyberpunk at good frame rate 60 plus. So, and this game does not look as good as Cyberpunk does. It's a far cry from Cyberpunk. So, terrible optimization is what I'm gonna blame it on. For what it's worth, the gameplay felt pretty solid. I enjoyed my time in the demo. I ended up completing the demo once, and then I ran through it real quickly again to get some samples of what the game looked like at different settings. Mm-hmm. Showed the guys here earlier so they could kind of understand where I'm coming from. And yeah, it was solid. I mean, it feels like the very beginning of a game where you're going to be getting a lot more abilities that matter.
That like plus up.
Because to be honest, my gameplay experience was I smash left click repeatedly and tap on the control key quite frequently, and that's about as much as I'm doing there. Otherwise, like, it did feel fluid, very like Nick said, very floaty.
Yeah, she's got cool boots.
She's got cool boots, man.
You gotta give the game that.
Yeah, combat was all right. There was a decent mix of enemies. I even fought a little mini boss, and that was fine. So yeah, I mean, it's a game that I could see myself conceivably playing if it played well on my PC. Yeah. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame that they tout these games, they show cinematic trailers and all this to make them look just fucking pristine out the gate. And then the optimization was written by a fucking capuchin monkey. Yeah,
at this point, the optimization just seems like an afterthought for most of these studios, and it's too bad. It's too bad because, I mean, if you optimize it, you get more people playing. You make your game instantly more accessible, and more people play it.
I'm going to give a tip to all you CEOs of game companies. Yes, first week sales are great.
Oh, yeah.
But did you know that if your game's good, people will keep buying it?
Forever and ever. Mm-hmm.
Like, you can actually make more money than the initial launch if you make a game that is worth buying.
Honestly, make a medium game. I'm considering buying Mass Effect for the fifth fucking time so I can play it on my
PC. That's a medium game. It's going to be medium forever, whereas your game is going to be forgotten in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, to play us out, this is kind of a fun one. So,
like, funny haha or... like
funny, what is the world coming to?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. So we have a tweet from our friend of the show, Ted Cruz.
Oh, God.
Who said he was a friend?
He says,
I did not agree to this.
Ted Cruz in this tweet says, first gas stoves, then your coffee. Now they're gunning for your Xbox.
They're going to shoot your Xbox.
So in an effort to do what it can in concerns of climate change, Microsoft has given the Xbox a new feature that will allow that will consume less energy. So it's now a pared down shutdown mode. So instead of where you had sleep, which is traditionally what the Xbox would do when you tell your console to turn off, it goes into a sleep mode, which allows it to do updates idly while you're not playing it.
Yeah.
Kind of a cool feature. But it does consume a decent amount of electricity, especially once that CPU really turns up and your download starts going. What they've done now is they have started to analyze the grid and break it up into essentially quadrants where they can say, where they can examine energy consumption and energy availability in certain areas. And what they've done now is introduce, instead of the sleep function being the default shutdown function, a light shutdown function instead. What that does is kill everything except for your CPU's ability, like your Xbox's ability to communicate with Microsoft servers, and just ping it to find out, hey, when do I need to do my updates?
Gotcha.
So instead of always on, it does a little bit of a wake up feature by itself. It says, hey, is it now a good time to do our updates? Microsoft says no. There's heavy usage in your area when it comes to the available energy. Instead, what it does, instead of doing its updates kind of quasi-randomly throughout the day or night when it's not in use, it's checking to see when the most renewable energy is available in your area and when the grid is being used as little as possible. And says, hey, we saw a drastic drop in utilization of electricity in your area, so now's a good time to update your Xbox. Let's try and be as energy conscious as possible. Well, Ted Cruz had some things to say, and so did Fox News.
That's not Ted Cruz.
This is not Ted Cruz. No. So got a little video here to show you. I'll play the audio for your audio listeners. This is a little clip from Fox News. They had just gotten done talking about the tragedy of losing our M&M spokes M&Ms.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're moving on to...
Weren't they just complaining there was a brown one the other day or a green one or
listen, dude, I don't know.
Jesus
They're complaining about something at all times, but let's have a listen.
Great. You need a Jimmy Fallon. That's all I'm
So
saying.
Xbox has also announced they're going woke too, because of climate change, that they're adding a new feature to their default settings. So if you own an Xbox, you can upload this new program, and it will turn off after so long to save the environment, the power. And also they're saying the energy saving shutdown feature is going to have a slower boot time. Ted Cruz writes on Twitter, first gas stoves, then your coffee, now you're gunning for my Xbox.
Isn't it crazy though?
Ted
when we
Cruz
were
does not
kids,
own
you
an
were a rebel
Xbox.
if you had like a leather jacket and a pack of cigarettes.
Unless he's referring to
now
his
you have
wife.
like a full powered Xbox and you're eating pizza rolls on a gas stove. I mean, it's crazy what they're doing, but we understand what this is. It's not that it's actually going to offset emissions. Okay, the level of reduction is infinitesimal, but they're trying to recruit your kids into climate politics at an earlier age. Make them climate conscious now.
Insidious.
That, you're right. They're going after the children.
Of course
is
they
what
are.
Fox
But again,
News
what's
is
the
like.
point of video games? It's for kids to be
man.
kids. Now you sit down and pick up a controller and they're like, by the way, the world's on fire. Ah! You know what I mean? You just want to play the game. And if they can, I think they would
kids,
stop making games that
kids
have
aren't the
kids
main
trapped in the
people
house. My kid
playing video
played
games
so much
anymore,
Xbox
dude.
during the lockdowns, he didn't even know there was a lockdown until 2 months in.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
So yeah,
Steve Juice.
Steve Juicy. So that's Fox News' opinion on,
that was
on
awful.
the latest console update for
I got my
Xbox.
fill of Fox News for the year. Thank you for that.
Oh, it's fun, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and Josh, you're wrong.
Josh is still just processing. what
Ted
we
Cruz
watched.
plays the most modern consoles. He actually tweets about playing video games quite frequently.
He's got to connect with his user base.
Speaking of Kinect, he used the Xbox Kinect in a very famous video. So
Was it on
I'm pretty
Pornhub?
sure that was just in the hotel suite of the Mexican resort he stayed in when the power got shut down in Texas, which he gets no fucks about, and people were freezing to death.
listen, dude, he has to find something to do with his time in his bunker while he's waiting for for his constituents to stop being mad at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a semi-yearly event.
We'll leave it at
he
this.
can't be a spineless bootlick all 24 hours of the day, right? He has
Cruz
to
is
take a
gonna
little
be
break from that.
So upset if his Honey Select does not update on its own, right?
Sure, dude. I don't know, man.
It's one of those Japanese porn games
Okay.
on Steam.
There's so many of those.
There's a lot of them.
I wanted to buy some of them because some of them actually look good.
See, if you do that, beware, we're all going to watch you play it.
That's fine.
No,
that's fine. Because to be honest, I was looking for a specific pinball game. Turns out it's only available on Epic. I was looking. I don't remember the name of the pinball game, but I looked up just the keyword pinball on Steam, and the first like 90 or so of them.
Pinball games, porn games.
Like the only thing
Most of
that
them
can
are.
make pinball better is titties.
I
guess.
mean, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Or the only thing that can make titties better is pinball.
What bothers me in Steam is if you want the tags mature, like God forbid you want to see games like The Witcher or whatnot. It's like clammed in with all the fucking porn games. So it's like, oh yeah, Witcher, but also Titties Redux 2, Boogaloo. It's like, no, I don't need that. Thank you.
Yeah, I really want to get like.
Watch these titties do the electric slide.
I want to expose Josh to some of those games, and just put a camera on him.
Porn. You didn't think it was possible,
or give him some new kinks.
Because that's what he needs.
Noise to end on.